Hello, folks. Welcome to the talk the superpowers developers get with GraphQL and distributed SQL. I am Shraddha. I'm an engineer at Hasura. I mainly work on Hasura Cloud, the managed GraphQL API offering of Hasura. The talk is mainly going to be about how we can leverage existing infrastructure that we have today to achieve mainly two things from a developer standpoint when it comes to building real world applications. Now, these two things are A, how to build features that users want and ship them fast. And second is to do this in a way where we don't compromise on the experience that users get, which is we do it with scalability in mind. So with that, let's have a quick demo. I talk about this existing infrastructure. So in the next 30 seconds, I am going to host a managed GraphQL API against an existing database. So let's see how that is done. This is my Hasura Cloud dashboard. I'll just go ahead and click New Project. Hasura Cloud is mainly a managed GraphQL offering by Hasura. Before I go further, it says enter database URL. So I already have a Hasura Cloud database set up. I will just quickly take this URL and enter it here. So what is happening? What did I do? I probably will have to start. So what is happening right now is that Hasura is provisioning a managed GraphQL API for us using the database that we provided. And yeah, so as you can see, we have been giving a name, and now I can just navigate to the Hasura console. So for the data, as you can see, so let's see here first. I have some, these are all Hasura related tables that are created. What I inserted were these tables called items, menu items. It's a schema related to food ordering app. As you can see, I have all of that here now. Uh, yeah. And what Hasura did was it gave me an GraphQL API with queries, mutations, and subscriptions built in with just a couple of clicks with the Gigabyte Cloud as its backend. So let's go back and see how we can use this to build applications, real world applications fast with scalability. So we just saw that I was using Hasura provisioned a GraphQL API. Now, where does GraphQL fit into this entire puzzle of um, building fast with scalability? Hasura fits into the piece of how developers are able to build features fast. So let's say we have a users table with ID name. They have their addresses and they can order something. We also have a list of products and those products can have brands. Now, when we do this using a REST API, every single one of these models will have their own endpoints, which our clients would query to get the respective data that they need. When it comes to GraphQL, all of this can be done in a single query. So I can say user and define the ID, and then I can also get their address. And if I want, I could also get the products they have ordered, or even along in the same query, I can just get a list of all the products and things like that. So this is extremely efficient when it comes as a client, when I can query all of this in a single query instead of making multiple queries to fetch all this from my database. Next, if, let's say, as API evolves, their type system changes. When it comes to REST, developers are notorious of not maintaining the documentation. So let's say we had a REST API, which used to give me address of a particular user with street and city. And moving forward, I perhaps added a PIN code and the and I forgot to update the documentation. And others working on the same API might find it troubling when they are getting a PIN code, but that's not documented. They did not expect it. So that problem is solved by GraphQL by as the GraphQL schema itself is self-documenting. It has all the type system of your API, and you can anybody using the API can simply fetch it using an introspection query. So this is again a solved problem with GraphQL. Another thing is that when it comes to applications these days, when users make any changes on their apps, they want to see real-time updates. But when it comes to making real-time updates using REST, it can be done in two ways. Either the client at a certain interval keeps polling the APIs for to check if there are any updates, and then corresponding to that, update the front end. But this is not an elegant solution due to the obvious inefficiency. Another way to do this is that we use WebSockets, but then WebSockets are a pain to set up. GraphQL again does this in a very simple, beautiful way by introducing subscriptions. So as you can see, I have a backend object here with, let's say, I have an order ID with a payment and a dispatch field, and I just want to let the user know if their payment is done or not, is their product dispatched or not. So I can just subscribe to a particular orders, payment, and dispatch fields in the database using a GraphQL subscription. And as soon as these fields are updated, this data will be sent to the client, which can then the client use to show the respective information on the UI. So the developer experience using GraphQL is tremendous. But as comes with any good things, GraphQL has its own challenges. First of all, with all the benefits that the GraphQL API gives, it is a big challenge to build a GraphQL API. It's a complex problem to solve. And if you already have a REST API in place, and you already and you're obviously working with the ongoing business problems, this is an added overhead which not a lot of developers would be happy to accommodate, as this will only require more work on their end. Um, Access control and authorization are yet another pain on top of building the GraphQL API, as well as GraphQL API are ideal for a monolith. So what this means is that if you have a huge monolith application, it will be much easier to then convert it into a GraphQL API. But if, let's say, you have a lot of microservices, that will be much more difficult to convert all of them into GraphQL, into a single GraphQL API. Enter Hasura. And what this does is Hasura, as we just saw in the demo, it gives you an out-of-the-box GraphQL API. So the very first step of creating the burden of creating a GraphQL API is solved. Next comes access control and authorization. Permissions and authorizations are out of the box baked into the GraphQL API. So this problem is also eliminated. Hasura is also cloud native. So let's say you have a bunch of microservices, a bunch of REST endpoints, and perhaps as well, you might have some GraphQL APIs as well. Using Hasura, what Hasura does is Hasura can stitch together all the GraphQL APIs you have into a single schema. It can stitch together all the schemas. And when it comes to all your REST endpoints, Hasura can delegate all the tasks that your REST endpoints of the particular microservices do. And as and when the response comes back, it can stitch it again together with all the rest of the GraphQL queries that the user made into a single response and give it back. So it's a nice way of packaging everything into one. Now let's see how we can use this power that GraphQL gives us to build an architecture that promotes building fast. So let's look at the MVP for a food ordering app. Um, let's look at the MVP steps that will be required if a user places an order. They would need order validation. The next step would be making sure that the user has paid for the order. Next would be maybe contacting the restaurant's microservices to ensure that they have secured the order. And then after the order is prepared, the next step would be assigning a delivery agent. And then after once all of this is done, we also would want user to be in the know of every single one of these steps. So real-time updates would be nice. We would also like to have different clients for different platforms so that user can easily access our application from any device. And it would be really nice if we're able to ship fast all of these features, but not compromise at the same time when it comes to scalability. So let's take a very initial basic look at this problem. Let's say a user makes a request, that is they make an order, and the order request goes to the API layer. The order validation happens here, and then once that is done, it will go to the payment microservice and ensure that the payment is made, and so on and so forth. It will then go to the restaurant microservice to make sure that the order is accepted, and then it will go on to the delivery microservice to make sure that a delivery agent is assigned. Uh, there are a lot of problems with this approach. Let's say one of these API calls fail. In that case, the order would be stuck, or if the API layer itself fails or restarts in the middle of an order while an order is being processed, that will be a complex problems to solve. With Let's look at alternative architecture for the same. Let's say instead of the API layer, for the API layer, we have the GraphQL engine. So a user makes an order, the Hasura system gets the query, it validates the order, and then a new row is added to the order table in database, which will trigger an Hasura event. This event will first trigger the payment processing, which is a serverless function. Once the serverless function is done processing, it will return back either positive or negative, depending on whether the user's payment failed or not, passed or not, back to the database. And if the payment, depending on whatever is the status, as our client are subscribed to the database, whatever is the status that is in real time communicated back to the user. And the same thing, once the payment is done, a restaurant approval event trigger would kick in, and the restaurant approval serverless function would happen. And then the same goes for the delivery assignment. Now, to summarize this architecture in more general terms, this is something like when a client gives a query to Hasura. Hasura delegates all the data and the business logic that needs to be done by the microservices or serverless functions to the respective microservices, and they will carry out the business logic. And once that is done, uh, this microservice or serverless function would then update the database would update the model of that specific view. And once this is done, Hasura would just query these updated models, uh, along with stitching together all the rest of the fields that the user might have queried for from any of the other microservices or the database or SaaS, and then return it back to the user in a single query. As you can see, this model is very familiar to the CQRS system, which is when user makes any change on the UI, that command is propagated to the command model, which carries out the business logic, and the respective changes to the views, respective changes to the models are then made in the database, and then the query models fetches these changes and then sends it back to the UI where the changes are then displayed. Now, so we've come together with an architecture where we have Hasura as the API layer, Postgres database, and we have serverless functions as to handle our business logic. This works well, and this helps us to build our products fast. But microservices are scalable, but if you're just talking about the open source Hasura version, our API layer, that is not scalable. And so is our Postgres database, even that is not scalable. So what can we do about scalability? Um, for the API layer, instead of going with the open source Hasura version, we can go with the managed API layer that Hasura Cloud provides. And instead of Postgres database, we can go with Yugabyte Cloud, which is a managed Postgres distributed SQL. So Hasura Cloud provides a fully managed production-ready GraphQL API with authorization, security, permissions model all built in. It also provides monitoring and analytics, so you can look at what are the functions that our users most make, which are the queries that fail the most, and more in-depth analysis. It also it also gives caching and rate limiting, and as well it provides team management for your different developers team while they are working on the same API. As for Yogabyte Cloud, with all the power that a distributed SQL gives, Yogabyte Cloud on top of that is fully managed. So it scales on demand, as well as it provides lower user latency, which is if your users are clustered in few parts of the world, you can manage your database clusters on those particular areas to make sure the user latency is less. So what we've come together as an architecture is, if I go back, instead of database taking as Postgres, we can just take Yogabyte Cloud. Instead of just taking plain old Hasura, we can take Hasura Cloud, and micro serverless functions are already scalable. And this gives us all the three components of our architecture scalable as well as fast, which was our goal initially. So let's look at a demo. I have a very simple food ordering app here. I'll just place an order for a donut and a mango. As you can see, these are 4 serverless functions running. I also have an analytics app. What happened was I just made an order, and order validation went through, and that is done. But payment processing is still not done. So let's make the payment. And as soon as the payment will go through, as soon as the payment goes through, and then the restaurant approval goes through, and the driver assignment is done. So this was a very short demo that I just wanted to show. You can go to the repo link given here if you want to explore this more. And yeah, that was me. Thank you so much for tuning in. And these are my socials if you want to contact me further. Thank you so much.